I want to tell you about a guy that I used to know. Let me know if this sounds like someone you know as well. He was a really smart guy. At least that's what all my classmates said because I used to go to school with him. But he was a really smart guy. He got really good grades. He was pretty articulate. He knew what he was talking about on most subjects. He was pretty good at arguing, debating, uh, stating his stance on things, stuff like that. But there was one thing about this guy that was kind of a fatal flaw of his. It was one thing that he lacked. See, he was what they would call book smart. He knew facts. He knew statistics, stuff like that. He knew a lot of stuff. He had a lot of knowledge, but he wasn't what they would call street smart. See, if this guy was on the street, he would get mugged. He would get killed. He would get robbed, right? Like he wouldn't last 10 minutes on the street. Why? Because he wasn't street smart. He had no basically people skills to speak of. He had no way to get along with people or convince people of his viewpoint besides by just yelling at them with like facts and logic and all that stuff. He had no idea how to win people over. He had no idea how to control himself around people to prove his point. He was very antagonistic. He basically had a pretty good idea of how to convince people of his argument. He was very rational in that perspective, but he had no idea how to basically um, win them over with their feelings and stuff like that. He had no idea how to appeal to people. Basically, he had no idea how to really get influence over other people besides just yelling at them with his arguments. So what this guy lacked is actually an extremely important thing. It's probably the most important thing to have in life because this thing that he lacked is going to help you achieve anything. This thing that he lacked is going to literally save decades of your life. So today I'm going to show you what this thing is, why it's important, and how you can start pursuing it today. So you might have heard of these ancient explorers from back in the day, trying to map out South America and stuff like that. Who are these people? These Spanish explorers like Columbus, and there was like other guys after him who basically explored South America and tried to find these fountains of youth or these lost cities of gold or these other things that probably didn't exist, but they spent like a long time finding. So what they lacked was a compass. What they lacked was a mission. Or well, not really a mission, but what they lacked was basically meaning to their adventures besides just trying to find the fabled lost city of gold or the ancient Maya or something like that. So why that's important is because this thing that I'm going to tell you about, this thing that I'm going to show you and tell you how to get, is what's going to lead you to this lost city of gold. For example, it's going to help you find what you're looking for in life. It's going to help you basically achieve anything that your mind is set upon, right? It's kind of like this universal tool, kind of like a compass when you're an explorer. It's going to give you direction and meaning to your exploits. So this thing, which you might have guessed what it is already, but it's heavily covered in the Bible, especially the Old Testament, with a certain king of Israel called Solomon. Now, Solomon was the son of David, and what happened to Solomon one day while he was king is he was visited by God in a dream, and what God said to him was, wish for one thing, and I will grant it. Basically, he gave Solomon one wish, and he could wish for anything, and it would be granted to him by God. And you might know, if you know your Bible, what Solomon wished for. It was extremely smart of him to wish for what he did because this thing that he wished for was more valuable than jewels and silver and gold and a new Lamborghini or 1,000 concubines. What it was something that is above what's material and pleasurable. It was something metaphysical that he could use pretty much in every area of life. It was like the ultimate tool for world domination or relationships or for making money or any of this stuff. So what was it? Maybe you can guess what it is, but it was wisdom, okay? Wisdom is the most valuable substance in the cosmos. It can't be purchased, it can't be bought, it can only be basically gathered from decades of experience. So, a good analogy for this is like up here in Canada, we have this thing called maple syrup, right? So, how do you make maple syrup? Well, basically, I think it's like in the winter. You gather like a whole bunch of sap into these buckets, right? And then you boil it down, and then you add sugar until it basically becomes like this thick, rich syrup, basically, which with a really unique flavor. But you need about 40 gallons of the sap to create about 1 gallon of syrup. So that's like a 40-to-1 ratio. You need a whole lot of sap in order to create just one little precious vial of the stuff. So I think that's also how you gather wisdom. I think that's how you make wisdom, is you get a whole bunch of life experience, so maybe like 40 years of life experience for just one little unit of wisdom, right? Because wisdom is only obtained once you gather and organize these vast amounts of knowledge before attaining it, right? Knowledge is kind of like lower on the information hierarchy than wisdom. You can imagine that wisdom's at the top, maybe data's at the bottom, and then we get knowledge, and then we get, understanding, and then we get wisdom. Because wisdom is kind of like the final result. It's kind of like the gold once you put the ore through the furnace, right? It's kind of like the wheat once you beat out the chaff, right? It's like the pure stuff that you actually want out of life after you have dozens of years of life experience. So yeah, relevant education really has to percolate into wisdom. That's why people aren't finding wisdom from the school system, for example, because it's just not relevant education. It's not actual learning. It's not the understanding and application of information. And I think a large part of that is just because people don't want to pursue what they're being taught, right? The student is not willing, so the master does not appear, basically. So yeah, just another one of my jobs at the school system. But yeah, so there are two strategies to get wisdom. Now, one is basically just, it's probably detailed pretty nice in the autobiography of Ben Franklin, because what Ben Franklin did, he took this first route. Basically, what he did was he failed just like so many times. Like these great Americans from the 20th, the 19th century. What they did, how they got so wise, was basically they just failed like thousands of times, right? Like hundreds of thousands of times probably within their lifetime. And then with that experience, they obtained knowledge over like a lifetime, basically. Once, like right before they died, they had a good amount of wisdom to share with other people. So they wrote autobiographies, books about their life philosophy and stuff like that, which they had obtained from basically the school of life. So yeah, that's what Ben Franklin did. He failed so many times. He failed with his friends. He failed his family. He failed his wife. He failed on business ventures. I think he got like scammed into going to London, and then he got stranded on the streets of London for like a year before trying to return to the New World. Which, yeah, I mean, it's tough, but that's a good way to obtain wisdom, is to just live life, right? And I'll cover how to actually do that later. But the other way, which is what I prefer to do, and what I've typically done, is to learn from other people's mistakes. So this is why the smartest people read a lot, or this is also why the smartest people just read a lot of nonfiction, but as well as fiction. Is it's because they obtain wisdom by kind of taking in other people's wisdom, kind of like a sponge, right? So I think that that's a very much more effective way to do it than just living life, making a whole lot of mistakes over a whole bunch of years, compared to just reading a book for like a couple hours, and then you're done it. But I think you kind of have to pair the two together. So you got to learn from other people's mistakes, and you got to go out of your way to make your own mistakes if you really want to achieve a high level of wisdom. I think that that's the best way to do it. So some limiting beliefs about obtaining wisdom is that, well, I don't really need wisdom to make other people like me. If I'm wise, other people aren't going to like me. They're not going to accept me, which, I mean, that's true, but what a lot of wise people have said throughout the years, throughout the millennia, is that you don't need to have other people like you. Okay, like once you obtain enough wisdom, once you obtain enough knowledge and life experience, you're going to come to accept the fact that you can't make everyone like you. That you basically have to find your own little niches where you're respected, where people are actually going to like you, right? It's part of maturity to accept that you can't please everyone. and that's totally fine. It's just something you're gonna have to live with. It's just part of being human. And you know, once you obtain enough wisdom, I hope you're gonna come to terms with that if you haven't already. So another excuse is that, well, maybe I'll just get wisdom after I get a whole bunch of cars and money and women. Which, I mean, go ahead, go right ahead and try. I don't blame you for wanting to do that, but why not obtain wisdom right now and basically save decades of your life through having the wisdom to choose what you want to pursue, right? Because one thing that I could do is I could just try and get rich like right now. I could try and become a millionaire when I'm super young. I could be this 25-year-old high quality man doing all this stuff, but at the end of the day, when I am that guy, I still have limited experience. I can only do so much with myself once I am this 25-year-old millionaire, compared to if I spend all of my 20s just trying to get experience, right? Just trying to do as many things as possible, basically, and just trying to learn from those and recording my findings and my knowledge and reading books and watching courses and getting mentors and traveling and just doing all this crazy stuff that I could remember and look back on in my life. And I think that if you do that, you actually have a lot higher potential for making money when you're in your 30s and your 40s, because basically you have the rest of your life to make money, right? Especially if you're a guy, you can basically just work like a dog until you die. Like, don't deny it, you can actually do that. So I think the fact that we can do that as men is just so much more reason to not pursue wealth right now and to just pursue wisdom instead. I mean, by all means, have an income, have a job, have a business that makes you, a couple thousand per month, but don't make that your main focus. You're gonna have all of your life to do that. Again, you don't have to listen to me. I'm just a kid, honestly. I'm just like 2 years old, basically, in terms of how much I know of the actual real world. So you might not want to listen to me. I might come back here after 5 years and be saying something different. But yeah. So another excuse is that it's impossible for me to get wisdom because my life is boring. Well, that's not true, and I'm going to explain why. Because these actionable steps you can basically do from your own house, from your own school, from your own backyard, like I'm doing right now. But the actionable steps for this video is to go read or listen to an autobiography of someone that you want to aspire to be, right? So go ahead and read the autobiography of someone famous who you look up to, right? This could be anyone. It could be an athlete, it could be an inventor, it could be a businessman, it could be anyone. Just read their published autobiography or listen to it on Audible or wherever you get audiobooks. So yeah, just listen to that. Just listen to one of those and then do something difficult that you've never done before and do it today. This could be anything. Just partake some kind of unique challenge and do it today. This could be running 30 kilometers in a day. This could be walking 50. This could be talking to 10 people, talking to 10 different strangers today, maybe at school or something. This could be hitting a really hard workout, hitting some kind of workout that you're not used to and that you've never done before. Just do something difficult that has some kind of meaning behind it. And yeah, just do it right now. Do it today. Do it for me, honestly. I've done stuff like this before, like starting this YouTube channel was actually one of those. I remember the first video that I did, super uncomfortable, still is kind of a weird experience to be just filming myself talking to a camera. But yeah, just do something that you're not used to today. Your future self will thank you for taking that kind of action. So yeah, that's going to pretty much do it for this video. I hope that you learned a lot from this. I sure did in the making of this video. I've learned a lot about my life philosophy and what I want to do with myself for the rest of my days, or what I want to pursue, what I like doing, how I hope to achieve wisdom throughout my life. I've sure learned a lot, and yeah, probably just like the past year, ever since I've started self-improvement, just getting myself 1% better per day. I think that's how you achieve wisdom. But yeah, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel if you want to. There is dieting coaching, or a link to my dieting coaching service in the description. Go ahead and check that out if you want. I'll hop on Instagram DMs with you, and I'll see if I can help you. I probably will. Go ahead and check that out if you want to get on your own intensive self-improvement journey. And yeah, go ahead and share this with a friend who needs some wisdom. So, see you later.